Hey, it's New Thought Talk. I'm your host, Reverend Steve Walling, from the Spiritual Awareness Center located in Fresno, California. Fresno, the heart of the Central Valley, and the Central Valley, the heart of the state of California. Welcome to the show today. I hope you started your day by claiming your good and your greatness today as you started out your day, for truly you are divinely guided and guarded throughout the day. If only you know it and have faith in it, believe it, and put it into practice in your life. And that's what we're about. Each and every week we come to share some new thought, science of mind, religious science teaching, and currently we've been going through a book that Ernest Holmes wrote in 1944 and still called Pray and Prosper. I'm going to go through the entire book. I think this is probably part 5 of that series. And if you happen to have a copy of the book, today we start off on page 25. And on 25 we start with what Holmes titled The Word of Power. Now before we get into that, I want to take just a moment and go back to last week. The section prior to this was prayer as a transforming power. When we talk about prayer and new thought in science of mind, religious science, we're not talking just about seeking out the favor of God, of divine principle, to bless us in some way in our life. But we're actually claiming our good, because as we understand that God is everywhere present and that each and every individual being on the face of the earth is God manifest as that individual being and expressing through them as their life principle and as their guiding in the protective principle, if you will, as we open up, like I said in the beginning, to the greater God within ourselves, that there is an urge that lives in the center of everyone's being, and that urge is that divine urge to express life and to express life at an ever greater degree of livingness as we do that. And the way that we do that is, 1, knowing that it's available, 2, putting that knowingness into practice in our life using spiritual tools that have been handed down through history in many different ways, shapes, and forms that were ultimately put together into this spiritual teaching philosophy that we call New Thought, and specifically to what we're talking about here is Science of Mind by Dr. Ernest Holmes. It is a faith, a philosophy, and it is a way of life, a way of living. So there is a power and a presence for good that's available to us at the level of our belief, at the level of our faith and our belief. And one of the most important parts of this is at the level of our willingness to be accepting of the gift as it's given. As we were created in the divine image, the nature of divine principle of God, at that very instant, if you will, if you want to put it in those terms, so was the potential of everything that individually that we could need, want, and desire to express our life and to express it greater and in the individual way in which we were created. In other words, and I've said this before and I'll say it again today, that within the core of our being lies the genius of our individuality as part of our creation. Now, some of us were created to be singers, some of us were created to be authors, some of us were created to be athletes, and on and on and on. Each and every one of us, like I say, at the core of our being, there sits the seed of our greatness and of our genius. And as we begin to walk our spiritual path, as we begin to open up to the truth of who we are, we can get in touch with that. And as we get in touch with that, then we can seek out these tools, these gifts that lay in wait for us at the level of our willingness to go there. And affirmative treatment, what we call prayer treatment, is the venue that we utilize. And it's powerful. It's awesome. And I encourage you to go back and catch if you haven't done this, go back and catch the previous shows that relate to this. They should be each titled part 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll move right on, beyond that. So the word of power, the word of power. What we're talking about in Holmes quotes Jesus, he says, and he taught them as one having authority. When he walked the face of this earth, he wasn't bashful, if you will, as he spoke his word. And he wasn't worried about being challenged as he brought his teaching into the world. He was challenged a great deal. And he accepted the challenge. He responded to the challenge. He continued to teach and move forward in demonstration of the power that is available to each and every one of us by being the great example for all of us. And so he taught. And so as he did teach, he taught with one having authority. He says, Holmes goes on to say, he says, in silent communion with the infinite, we create a consciousness of power through the recognition of the divine presence. Through silent communion. And we talked about this last week when we talked about going into the secret place of the Most High. That's not some closet or building, but that is quieting the mind and turning in within ourselves, because therein, that's where we find our source, our connectedness. That's where the divine urge lives. That's where our recognition of our connectedness to God exists. And as we do that, we begin to, we got to do it on an ongoing and a regular basis. But as we do that, we begin to experience the divine in some level, in some way. And as we do that, when we speak our word in our affirmative treatment, in our prayer, then we speak our word with confidence, with authority also, because that's what we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to speak our word with doubt or with hope or any other way than an actual knowingness that what we are speaking our word for and about already exists within the potential of the gifts that God created for us, and we're looking to bring that potential into our material experience, our material reality, and we can do that. And that's what we do. So we move forward here. He says, all power is given unto the Son, and we are all sons and daughters of the divine. Prayer enables us to contact this power and to make definite use of it for beneficent purposes, to heal, to prosper, to make happy, to reveal the wholeness in everything. As we walk our walk through this thing that we call our life, we're not created to live in fear, in doubt, suffering, to be a victim. We are created to, again, as I said, to express life and to express life in the most greatest and abundant way. When we realize that is our purpose for living, we can begin to put that into practice. Some people do just because they kind of fall into that idea, through self-confidence, through realizing that they live a life that is blessed. And they may not understand exactly what that means on a spiritual level, but they have an understanding within themselves, and therefore they tend to display that with intention and expectation in their lives. We should all have that intention. We should all have that expectation, because the gift was made to each and every one of us. None of us were meant to be anything less than the greatness that we were created to be, and we can do that. We can do that. We can find out. And as we find out, as we put into practice, one of the things about affirmative prayer, sometimes people don't realize this. And oftentimes when I talk about it in these terms, individuals think, well, are we talking about something spiritual? When I say that learning how to utilize these spiritual tools in our life is a skill, and it's a skill that requires practice. And as we practice, we become acquainted with a greater degree of expression, demonstration, as we become associated and acquainted with that greater degree of demonstration and manifestation in our life. We actually grow, we build our faith, we build our belief, and as we grow and we build our faith and belief, we grow and build our ability to have an intention and expectation of an ever greater and higher degree of demonstration in our life. But it does take practice. We can't, it's not like a once and we're done deal. It's not like doing it on Sunday when we're at our celebration, or maybe on Monday nights or Friday nights before the weekend. It's an ongoing thing, and we have to practice. We have to put it into practice, and as we practice, we improve. So he says here, prayer not only receives the divine power, it projects it into manifestation. Prayer directs the invisible power for definite purposes. Now, if I were to tell you that and you had no background in New Thought, you might think I'm, kind of out there a little bit. And I can understand that because reality, materiality, has taught through generations upon generations that this type of understanding is either something that was only available to Jesus when he walked the face of the earth, or it wasn't even there. People that, and there are many people that question the reality of whether he was here or not. And let me tell you, on that particular point, it's really not important. What's important is the teaching. Now, I believe that he was here. I believe he was real. But what is important was the teaching that is attributed to him. How the teaching came about is not as important as the teaching itself. Now, the teaching, there are many teachers within New Thought. They will say that, what we teach in New Thought has been available through the various generations in various spiritual teachings. And that's true. But concisely put together in one place probably is not to be found in any greater degree or higher degree than what you find in the teachings attributed to this individual we call Jesus in the New Testament. Some people get a little put off, when we talk about the New Testament. Well, my history, my past, put it on the shelf. Focus on the teaching. Embody the teaching in your life. See if it doesn't unfold. It has for those that have put it into practice in the past. And we can accept what any individual has done and the demonstrations that they've seen in their life. Any other individual, when they do the same thing, we can be open and accepting that we should receive the same type and kind of demonstrations in our life. Okay, so we get that. He says prayer reflects. And the reflection of an image in a mirror is an exact likeness of the image which is held before the mirror. So the law of cause and effect, and that's the great law that we've been talking about, reflects back to us a likeness of the images of our thought. Thus we are told that we reflect the glory of God, but too often we reflect the fear and limitation of man rather than the glory of God. And we understand this in the realization that our life, what we're experiencing in life, is a reflection back of that which we believe. And if you're not experiencing in your life a higher degree of livingness at the level that you want to experience, the question I ask you is why not? Because it's available to you when you first realize it's available to you. This reflect back to us concept is, again, it's one of those things that sometimes some people have a difficulty wrapping their minds around, but in truth, that as we speak our word, and we're going to get into this in today, as we speak our word, what we're talking about is we're creating something within our imagination. We're creating a reality there. As we speak our word, we're using feeling, inner imaging, and that inner imaging doesn't necessarily have to be, like seeing things in our imagination, but it can be. For each and every one of us, we have the gift of the imagination. We have the ability to utilize it at whatever our ability to utilize it may be. but we can do that. We're going to take our first break, and I'll see you when we come back.
Ghost Golf is Fresno's most spectacular family entertainment center. It's frightening how much fun you'll have on our 18-hole indoor haunted graveyard course. Skeletons welcome you, but watch out! All sorts of creatures may come to life. Ghost Golf is perfect for scary good parties, so book yours today. You'll get free plays at the Mummy Shooting Gallery, arcades, and air hockey. Check out our party and weekday specials online and like us on Facebook. Come play at family-friendly Ghost Golf. Good times will haunt you.
At McDermott Counseling, you will receive the highest level of care and a welcoming, safe space in which to discuss your most personal issues. Our therapists go above and beyond for you. Call 559-280-5756 or visit McDermottCounseling.com to find a caring therapist who best suits your needs. Diane Ainsworth's books of poetry and scriptures are available at CondioPress.com and as ebooks at Amazon.com. Diane hopes the words in her books will convey the unconditional love Jesus has for you. Learn more at God'sInspirationsBlog.wordpress.com and get a copy of Diane's books today.
Hello everyone, my name is Miss G. I offer fun and affordable promotion and advertisement on my talk show. It is called Fresno Vibes. We talk, we play awesome music. I also feature a bunch of different bartenders from different places. I like to have restaurants. I like to have any event, any kind of fun stuff. Contact me at rmgmissg@gmail.com and we will have so much fun and we will promote your business, promote your event right here on my show. So contact me. We'll have fun. Thank you.
In a world where Friday nights have become synonymous with going out to get wasted, consider not doing that and instead save your money and tune in to the Hey Slingshot Show Friday nights at 7 p.m. Or go out anyway and pull out your phone and watch on Facebook or YouTube. You can even watch right now. It won't be live, but there is a significant backlog of shows that you can watch right now. Hey Slingshot, Friday nights at 7 on CentralValleyTalk.com.
Hey, I'm Chris DeVold. Tune in every Friday night on CentralValleyTalk.com when I bring you Sex, Drugs, Chris DeVold, where I'll give you 3 guesses on what we talk about. And I also vow to bring you 1 live local music act a week. So tune in every week because you never know what kind of music you're going to hear right here on CentralValleyTalk.com.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Hey, welcome back to New Thought Talk. I am your host, the Reverend Steve Walling from the Spiritual Awareness Center located in Fresno, California. So moving forward, before we went to the break, I was talking about life mirroring back to us. And when we begin to speak our word, we're also creating an image. The image exists that we're creating in our imagination. And, you know, I've mentioned this in the past, but it's not a bad thing to do, and that is to look up some of Neville's books. You can find them online; they're still in print. Neville had a really great way of explaining. Now, it's not exactly in religious science terms, but our ability to utilize the imagination. He often referred to the imagination as that part of us which really was God within, and you know he makes a pretty good argument. But I believe that God exists throughout our entire beingness. The imagination is that tool that we use to create that image as we speak our word. It's not just like, well, gee, I'm describing something. It's not an intellectual exercise. When we speak our word, it embodies a concept or a partial meditative component and a component where we really do focus on creating as we speak our word. And we don't have to speak it out loud. We can do it in silence, but creating that inner construct, if you will, of that which we are are speaking our word for, that we are seeking to demonstrate. And that construct is not just like some people use, they put up images on a bulletin board, and they create, where they can look at that. And I'm not talking about that type of thing. I'm talking about creating within your imagination that reality, and as close to a reality as you can get as you speak your word within yourself. And what that means is it's not something that you may not, or you may be able to do in 2, 3, 5, 10 minutes. There are times when, and you can read about when Dr. Holmes was treating for people, that it went on sometimes for hours. When we do this, when we are going into that secret place of the Most High, when we're going to speak our word, when we're creating that inner image that we want to see life mirror back to us, what we want to do is create it in such a way that within our imagination and our relation with our imagination at that point, there is a realization within us that it is truly there, that it exists in the here and now as a construct, as something tangible. And what happens when we get to that point, and that really is the point we want to get to when we speak our word, whether it be for health, abundance, or whatever, when we get to that realization point within ourselves that what we're speaking our word for it's really demonstrated, that we can know it as if we are there with it at this place, this time. And the universe responds, the law responds. That which we know to be true, ultimately is true in our experience. So it's when we look out into our life and we're not liking what we're seeing out there, we need to realize, and I know I've mentioned this before, that life is mirroring back to us what it is that we believe. So part of speaking our word is creating new beliefs. Part of speaking our word is creating a greater, higher degree of acceptance. Part of speaking our word is building our faith. And that's why I say, it's through practice that we grow our skill to be able to get to that point. Can you close your eyes and see a reality as already being so and know it to be so? It's kind of like, the best way I can equate this is, if you've ever woken up in a dream, and when you first wake up before you become fully aware, there's that moment where you can't, was it real or not? Did you experience that or didn't you? When you can get to that intentionally, to that same place where, is it real? Did I really experience that? Is that really a reality? And we can. It is available to each and every one of us. But again, it's available only at the level of our willingness to create that skill within ourselves to get to that point. But we can do it. And that's a great deal of what the teaching of affirmative treatment of prayer is really all about, is about getting to that point. And so he says here, we must find new meanings to life if we hope to create new images, which in their turn will supply new reflections. And this goes back to, again, if we hold in our belief that our self-defined reality of ourself, based on what we've had and experienced in the past, that we're going to, what we used to have is what we're going to have, because we haven't created or experienced anything new. What we have to do is take our story, and that's basically what it is, and we can look at our story and say, okay, yes, at one time this defined me, but it doesn't define me anymore. I declare my independence, and you can declare your independence today, right here, right now, from whatever has held you in bondage and beliefs of your self-definition. And just imagine, again, we'll go back to the imagination. Imagine that you fold this up in a really great and wonderful book because you can cherish it as part of your history, but take that book and put it on the shelf up there. Now, again, this is something that's going to take a little practice because habitually we're going to want to fall back. But when we do, let's just realize that all we've done is pull that book off the shelf and opened up to a chapter that we don't want to relive. So we close that book again, we put it on the shelf, and we declare something new for ourselves today. What are we declaring? We're declaring new meanings to our life. What is a new meaning to my life? A new meaning to my life and a new meaning to your life is is a declaration that you were created to experience and express life at a greater and higher degree. Okay, maybe right now in this moment, you can't define what that is. Maybe you may have to spend a little time, but you know what? There's a power and a presence for good that lives and exists within you, a divine urge that seeks to express in your life that is available to you. And you begin to seek, you begin to go within, you begin to listen quietly to that inner intuition, to that inner expression, to that inner inspiration. If you make it a point to seek it, it will find you. If you don't, you will walk in the dark for the rest of your life on this planet. But even if that's your choice, besides the fact that you're missing out on so much of life, you're still in the process of evolving. However that is, you will evolve. And you will evolve as you. At some point, you're going to wake up to the truth of who you are. I mentioned, I think, last week that there are people that say that, as we learn the truth of who we are, we actually learn the truth of what God is, what the divine principle is, because we are individualized aspects and expressions of God. God lives as us, lives through us, expresses, and has given us, if you will, the controlling power of how that livingness is going to be expressed with an inner urge to find the truth of who we are. And as we do, we realize the greater godness that exists within ourselves. It's an awesome thought, and consider it. Think about putting it into practice day to day in your life experience, okay? He says prayer is a mirror reflecting the images of our thought through the law of good into our outward experience. We no longer are bound by our past. We're no longer owned because we now know that we can present new images. Where do we present it? Within our imagination. How do we present it? Through that inner declaration. As we realize the truth of who we are, as we realize our connectedness with Source, as we realize how it expresses through our life, as we realize that there is a potentiality that is available to us individually tailored to each and every one of us, that we can get this, we can do this, we can put it into practice. Can we get excited? You bet. I'm excited about sharing that with you today. How awesome is that for you in your life experience, as I have in my life experience and others have in their life experience? What one person has done and put into practice and seen unfold and demonstrated in their life, anybody else that does the same thing. That's why early on the teachers of the various, many of the new thought spiritual practices use science in the name. That's why Dr. Holmes called it the science of mind. He said it is a science in that if we follow the formula, we will get the same results as someone else that has utilized the formula. There's a theory. The theory put into practice, if it works for one person, should work for everybody that puts that same theory into practice. Why limit yourself? Why excuse yourself? Why claim that you're not good enough when you are created in the image, the likeness of the divine principle? The nature of God exists as you, expresses through you. We'll take our next break, and we're going to come back and talk about the imagination and visualization within ourselves.
With Organic Pastures Raw Milk, you're getting a product that has been meticulously managed from grass to glass. From our pastures to our dairy, creamery, and distribution, we work hard to produce a product that is safe and clean for you.
Got lactose intolerance or dairy allergies? Discover delicious raw milk and discover dairy the way it's supposed to be. We provide tours and would love to see you. Come visit the cows, watch the milking, the cheese being made, and learn all about raw milk. We're just 20 miles south and west of Fresno, California. Call to schedule a tour at 559-846-9732.
The Saga of Bridget and Amanda by Carol Love Forbes brings to life the struggles of historical women in early America. Find the Saga of Bridget and Amanda on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and order your copy today.
You enter this door with expired tags. Beyond is another dimension, a dimension of regulations, a dimension of long waits. You have reached the registration zone. What looks like an ordinary shop is actually Mitchell Smog, located in the heart of the Tower District, a few minutes from the DMV. Mitchell Smog offers your vehicle a STAR-certified smog inspection. So remember Mitchell Smog when you need to pass through the registration zone.
Christy Majors is your local real estate connection. With a solid, hardworking team, traditional listings, short sales, probate listings, and foreclosures are treated in a personal and caring way and close in a timely fashion. Since 2009, Team Majors has closed more than $75 million worth of homes all over California. Reliable and trustworthy, Christy and her team will go the extra mile for every client, whether selling or buying a home. So give Team Majors a call at 559-464-5606 or visit teammajors.com.
After a tough day at the track, cleaning up can be a time-consuming task. That's why we use Extreme Cleaner, the non-toxic, biodegradable, multi-purpose cleaner and degreaser. Extreme Cleaner cuts through even the toughest of grease and grime. Fast. Great for cleaning tools and work surfaces. Extreme Cleaner. Tough on grime, safe on the environment. Visit extremecleaner.com to find a retailer near you.
When you experience flooding in your home, you need to call Clean Master Emergency Flood Service at 559-213-9430. After soaking in water for only 45 minutes, carpet starts to come apart. Clean Master Emergency Flood Service can help, and not just with carpet repair. They also offer carpet cleaning, upholstery cleaning, carpet installation, and more. Call Clean Master Emergency Flood Service, and they'll be there in 60 minutes. Call 559-213-9430.
Hi, I'm the host of New Thought Talk, Reverend Steve Walling, and I want to take a moment today and give you an opportunity to support our ministry, support our show. You can do that through a PayPal payment. You send the payment through PayPal to the email address of Madera, MADERASAC @gmail.com. If you don't have a PayPal account, you can go down below the link and you can find where you can enter a debit or credit card. I want to thank those that have supported us and those that will continue to support us. You have a great day. Bye. Hey, welcome back to New Thought Talk. I'm your host, the Reverend Steve Walling. We're talking about Pray and Prosper, a book written by Dr. Ernest Holmes, and we are on our fifth segment of covering this. Before we get into it, I want to say hi to Reverend C.L. Lawrence, Reverend Dr. Reverend Dr. Joanna Fox, Bill Carmichael, Beth, and many of the others that are watching. I can't get all your names in, but I thank you for being with us today, or catching up with us at a later time. So, talking about concentration and visualization in prayer. We grew up with the idea that, we put our hands together, we get down on our knees, and we seek God's help through, asking, sometimes begging, hoping, however, that somehow God's going to answer our request. And oftentimes when we do so, we come to the divine, we come to God with an inner belief that we're maybe not worthy. And an amazing thing, if that's what we believe, oftentimes that's what's demonstrated and illustrated in our life. But when we begin to embody and accept the truth of who we are, that we really and truly are God expressed as us in our life, that we're talking, as we speak our word, we're talking to that which is our provider, our Father, if you will, that wants to, that encourages us, that provides for us, that covers us, that we have we have understandings like there's nothing that is too big for God. With God, all things are possible. That no matter what God brings to our life, into our life, that we have a bigger God. Well, these understandings put us basically in the driver's seat as to how this divine is going to unfold in our life. If we choose to see ourselves as less than, then unfortunately that's how God expresses in our life. When we choose to see ourselves as a child of the divine, as an expression of God, that we are truly worthy. Kind of like, at this point in our life, it's kind of like the prodigal son returning home, or it's kind of like a rebirth within our soul, if you want to put it in those terms, to the truth of who we are. But there's certain things that we got to be able to do, and we all have the ability to do those when we begin to realize that it's available to us. So as we speak our word, right? He says prayer does not concentrate substance, and when he says substance, we're talking about divine substance. Divine substance is the potential, the field of potentiality, if you will, that which creates, through the law, that which we seek to see in our life. It's a spiritual concept that we can embody, that we can know that it's working for us. And as we say, there's a law of cause and effect. The law of cause and effect says from the cause we have the effect, and the substance is part of that, which is the in-between, however that demonstrates in our life. So he says, prayer does not concentrate substance, it merely focalizes our attention upon it. And how do we focalize our attention on it? By creating the image, the mold, if you will, within our imagination, and all the energy, all the stuff, all the whatever is necessary to fill that mold out to create the reality in our day-to-day life expression is available at that point. And at that point that we have a belief and acceptance that mold, that image is true as it exists already, to that degree we're going to see it unfold. It's important. It's done unto us as we believe. So a couple caveats here. Now, we talked about some of this earlier, that one, belief is not just what we hold in that moment we're speaking our words. Belief is our belief in its entirety. In other words, if we hold beliefs where we are judgmental, if we hold beliefs where we have levels of fear, and all the stuff that goes on those things which separate us from our alignment with divine, with our alignment with God. And when I talk about alignment, what I'm talking about is living the understanding that we have of what God is, and that is living as an example of love and expressing that love into the world. And again, I've said this many times before also, that in so doing, we love God with all that we are. We love our neighbor as ourselves. We, however, have every right to create boundaries within our life. In other words, we don't have to be subject to, whatever we may feel is abuse, but we need to have love towards the individual or the group or the whatever, that we may create boundaries about, okay? You can't forget that. We cannot have hate and expect love to demonstrate in our life. We cannot have fear and expect confidently to see a demonstration. So we have to, get rid of that. Again, that's part of the process of practice. It's something we can all do. And as we do that, we create this image. We create it with belief. At the level we believe it's done unto us. He will answer your prayer before you speak your word. My Father knows what it is you're praying for before you speak your word. Jesus tells us again and again, the answers are here when we open ourselves up. Part of it, again, like I said earlier today, is being in a receptive consciousness. That's some people just, they kind of get it, if you will, on so many levels, so many areas, but they're still taking that thimble out in the rain of God's good, and that's all they're experiencing. Throw that thimble away. Try to, if you can't grab something bigger, just grab a glass. Take that glass out. When you see that the thimble was filled and you see the glass is filled, then you can open up and understand that there's a potential for a greater good to be received by you. You are meant to be a receiver. You are meant to be a demonstrator. You are meant to experience life at ever greater and higher degrees. That's what God is all about. That's what the divine expression is, and that's what we need to know. And part of our spiritual journey is the learning of that and accepting of it. So he says, it is attention, not concentration. Willingness, not will. Okay. And what we're talking about here is in this creation, within our imagination. We're not willing something, okay? It's attention that we're focusing. in our attention that we focus. It's the acceptance, not the, I'm going to will something. It doesn't work that way. All will does is focus our attention. But in our attention, we have to bring our attention with a level of acceptance. Okay, so he moves on. He says the very idea that we must concentrate something suggests coercion. We don't concentrate something. We don't bring power to it. We focus. We create. We accept, and with intention and expectation. And then we see demonstration in our life as we believe, okay? He says, if we wish to demonstrate that prayer or spiritual communion is a potent force, we must believe that both energy and divine action are at our disposal, that the creative genius of the universe is already wherever we focus our attention. Again, attention, realization, visualization, acceptance, getting there. Okay, we must permit rather than petition. To permit is to open up in acceptance. There's where we want to be. There's, the idea that there is a field of pure potentiality awaiting our recognition and our desire to see that which is within that field expressing and demonstrating in our life. What a concept, right? So, prayer removes tensions. The next thing where Holmes talks about, he says, spiritual communion is relaxing. In other words, as we speak our word, we shouldn't be speaking our word and feeling tense. Oh, it's got to, and truth be told, if we're dealing with things in our life that bring stress into our life, we have to let that go. We have to let that go with an understanding that there is a bigger God than what we think is the cause of our stress. In truth, there's only one cause. That cause is divine principle. That causes God. When we experience things in our life that create stress, it's because we've accepted those things as being a part of our reality, and then we subject ourselves to the stress of that. It may be something we want to let go, and that's why, or partially why, we want to let go of our story. Again, you can put it in a leather gilded, binding, however you want to do it, but put it on the shelf. Remove that from your life as a force that binds you to that which you used to experience. You don't have to experience that anymore. Spiritual communion is letting go of all negation, a reaching out and up towards freedom, wholeness, and happiness. It is a calm, inward sense of reality. It's a place that we have to get to, and we get to it. We get to it through practice. We're going to take our next break. I'll see you when we come back. We're moving right along here.
Pour yourself a glass of Crybaby wine, available at the market and Sam's Italian Deli. And remember to ask for Crybaby wine at your favorite restaurant.
Connect with Dr. Alan Hedberg. Watch Doctor Teach Me to Parent on CentralValleyTalk.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Listen to The Psychology Report anytime at thepsychologyreport.buzzsprout.com. Visit booksbyhedberg.com and order a book for your personal growth. And join the conversation on twitter.com/Alan G. Hedberg. Get your copy of Crouching Mama Hidden Veggies today, packed with recipes of delicious food cooked with hidden vegetables, so you can feel confident that you and your family are eating your veggies.
Contact Sprague Electric for all things electrical, solar installations, battery systems, troubleshooting, repairs, and more. Call 559-760-0712. SpragueElectric.com.
With Organic Pastures Raw Milk, you're getting a product that has been meticulously managed from grass to glass. From our pastures to our dairy, creamery, and distribution, we work hard to produce a product that is safe and clean for you.
Welcome back to New Thought Talk. I'm your host, the Reverend Steve Walling from the Spiritual Awareness Center located in Fresno, California, and welcome back. Today we've been talking about using the Pray and Prosper book that Dr. Holmes wrote, and we're going through it, and we're discussing some of those things, and that we need to have an understanding of as we put prayer into practice in our life with an expectation that we're doing something, that with an intention to see demonstration, with an acceptance within ourselves that our good is manifest for us in our life in potential that's awaiting our recognition, acceptance, and then with our attention and our treatment, speaking our word and seeing it happen, seeing it unfold. Understanding that we are worthy, we are great, we are incredible, we are the divine expressed as us, that we were created to experience God and life and reality and everything that you could think about in a harmonious, peaceful, happy, energetic, abundant, great, positive, and you can go on with anything that you can relate to that is good. God's good is supposed to be expressed through you in life. Now, having said that, I realized life comes at us the speed of life. And sometimes that life brings us obstacles that, we look at it and maybe it may, shake us a little bit. But when we have a realization that we have a greater God, regardless of what circumstances present us, we are going to transcend, overcome, move around, experience greater life expression and experience. It may be radically different from what we used to have. We may think that's not where we want to go, but as we go through the process, as we accept a greater good in our life, we will see that good unfold. And having an understanding, having a belief in that is important for us as we walk our spiritual path, as we live our life. God is awesome. Life is awesome. Our expression can be as awesome as we choose to make it. And that's what it's all about. That's why I enjoy teaching it and sharing it and seeing it unfold in people's life on an ongoing basis. You say God is good. No, God is more than just good. God is incredibly, awesomely good. But moving forward, again, I said spiritual communion is letting go of all negation, reaching out and up towards freedom, wholeness, and happiness. It is a calm, inward sense of reality. There's no struggle, no tension, only peace. Can you get to that point where you experience the inner realization of peace, the acceptance of that peace being you? There is a meditation that goes, peace be me. Think about it. There are many other meditations relating to peace, but owning peace more so than just intellectualizing the concept of peace, but owning it as an experiential place in your day-to-day life experience that life is mirroring back to you. He says, since we are dealing with a power which can easily be accomplished, our desired good that can easily accomplish our desired good and give to us more abundantly even when we are able to receive, there should be no sense of compulsion, but rather a relaxed and yet attentive and active acceptance. All anxiety is dropped by the wayside. All doubt is let go. All fear is removed. Within ourself, that inner peace, that inner calm, that inner acceptance. And then we watch things unfold. We watch things demonstrate in our life. Now, oftentimes for people that are kind of new to this, or even people that have been involved with it for a while, but maybe they're facing something where they know where they need to be in confidence. They know where they need to be in faith and belief, but maybe they're shaken a little bit. Go back. Renew, redo. Treat for yourself, treat for your peace, treat for your greater faith, treat for your higher belief, and then watch it unfold in your life. God accepts you where you're at, but creates for you to be where you may have no idea that you can be. But until you seek to reach that, it's just maybe a pipe dream for you. Move beyond pipe dream. Begin to create reality. He says, our over-anxiety is one of the most negative states of mind that we can experience. Whew, man, I'm so worried. I'm so stressed. Let it go. Well, it's easy for someone to say, let it go. But what about if you're in the middle of it? Well, if you've not practiced, and see, this is why it's important that we practice every day. Big things, little things, and just accept the good that is demonstrated. Don't try to force things. Don't try to will things. Just create that acceptance, but practice. So that when maybe we're addressed by something, life comes at us at the speed of life, and we're going, oh, well, what are we going to do? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to calm ourselves. We're going to go to principle. We're going to speak our word, and we're going to know that principle always delivers. It always does. It never does not. But it always delivers, it always reacts, it always responds at the level of our acceptance, our faith, and our belief. It's done unto us as we believe. So we have to go there. We practice, we build it. And the more we work at it as individuals, again, we build our faith by putting this philosophy into expression in our life. The more we do that, the more confidence we build, the more experience we build with seeing demonstration, the greater our belief is, the stronger our faith. I think I've shared this before, but it's a simple tool, particularly for people that are new to a science of mind or new thought experience in their life. Just a tool that you can kind of reflect upon, and that was pray, meditate, and study to build faith, and through faith build your belief by constantly and consistently challenging yourself to change. What are we trying to change? I'm going to go back here again, and I'm going to read here where Holmes says, we must find new meanings to life if we hope to create new images. We have to find new meanings. What are new meanings? New meanings are that we don't accept the what is anymore as being the definition of our life. We don't accept what we're experiencing in this material moment as being the defining whatever in our life. New meanings are things that are above and beyond what we're experiencing and expressing. New meanings mean that no matter what life tells us that we are, no matter what my story has told me that I am, that there is something better and greater available to me, and I'm not going to accept the old meanings. I'm not going to accept the old story. I'm not going to just be satisfied anymore. I'm going to be dissatisfied in a positive, constructive, love-filled, health-filled, abundant-filled way, and I'm going to, with vigor within myself, know a greater good in my life. I'm going to take that light that is within me and know that it shines brighter today than it did yesterday. I'm going to know before I open my eyes in the morning that I can thank the divine for today. I can thank God for the gift, and I can state my truth that through this day I'm divinely guided, divinely guarded, and that as the day unfolds, if life brings challenges to me, I have a bigger God than any challenge. There's no obstacle that I cannot overcome, get around, move beyond, because I have a bigger God in my life. I am divine. I am expressed. I am owned, and I am love itself. And the power of love in life is so awesome that nothing can stand against it. And that's where we go. We affirm our good. We practice our words. This idea of putting prayer into practice in our lives. One of the reasons why I wanted to go through this book and really kind of break it down. I mean, we could have done this probably in one or two lessons, but I want to go through this and spend the time on it because as we really grasp this, it's so much more than just saying pray and prosper. It's so much more than just accepting, okay? And as you go through this, I hope you go back and, again, I said at the beginning, and review each one of the lessons as we address this book, and that you stay with us through the whole book till we get to the end of the story, because you are that important, you are that incredible, you are that wonderful, and you are in a state where you need to know it at an ever higher and greater embodiment. And that I don't care where you're at in your life. You can know that at a higher and greater embodiment. We all can. We all can express life in a much higher way, and we should have that desire. But in that desire, as we express life, we do so in alignment with principle. We express life greater by raising ourselves and those around us up in our energy as we're doing this. When we speak our word for ourselves, we include those that are around us, that they also experience higher and greater good in their life. As we go through our day, that we do not fall back into old habits of being judgmental or allowing, negative energy, if you will, to cloud our consciousness and our thinking. And we have to be wary of that. I talked about in the past, in one of the earlier lessons, about the concept of what we call race consciousness, which is a consciousness of the incredible history of humanity that is still available to us in good ways and not good ways, that can influence us as we open ourselves up to it. And we have developed a habit of being open to it long before we began to have a realization that we can self-empower ourselves through our recognition of the truth of who we are. So we have to be aware of that. And sometimes, it's that moment where that fear thought, that anxiety thought, that doubt thought, that whatever thought kind of just pops into our mind. We got to know that it has no power, that there's no truth in it. We can declare that there is a greater goodness, a greater godness in that place, in our mind, in our consciousness, and we can accept that as a demonstration in our life, and we do, and we move forward. It's a journey that we move through, but it's an exciting journey if we accept it. Yeah, it can be a little difficult getting started. Yeah, we might move a little slow. Yeah, we may have some doubts in the beginning. But all of that is still part of our old self-definition. And, we may have to look at that book, put it on the shelf again and again and again. But you know what happens? Over a period of time, that book doesn't come down quite as often. It doesn't come down with quite the intensity. It doesn't come down with quite the detail. And it becomes easier and easier to realize and recognize when that's happening, and to know that we don't have to accept that as part of our truth, our experience in our life. We've run to the end of the time for today's show. So next week when we pick it up, we're going to start on page 29, and we're going to move forward. 29 is Prayer Converts Substance into Action and Supply. You can spend the week, if you happen to have a textbook available to you, look up substance. If you have a concordance, see how Dr. Holmes talks about it. We'll get into it in greater depth next week. We may come back to this prayer removes tension as we move forward. Have a great week. Thank you for being with us today. I hope you enjoyed it. But more importantly, I hope that you take the things that we've talked about and begin to put them into practice in your life. Remember, practice makes improvement, and you deserve improvement in your life. As you go through the week, know that the light of God surrounds you, the love of God enfolds you, the power of God protects you, the presence of God watches over you. Because wherever you are, God is there. All is well. Thanks for being with us. I'll see you next week.